Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as we journey to some of Italy's most beautiful places in the company of those who know them best, the families who grow grapes and make fabulous wines. Through their stories, we will learn not just about their wines, but also about their ways of life, the local and regional foods and specialities that pair naturally with their wines, and the most beautiful places to visit. We have a wonderful journey of discovery ahead of us, and I hope you will join me.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Vivino, the world's largest online wine marketplace. The Vivino app makes it easy to choose wine. Enjoy expert team support, door-to-door delivery, and honest wine reviews to help you choose the perfect wine for every occasion. Vivino. Download the app on Apple or Android and discover an easier way to choose wine.
Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. In recent episodes, we've been exploring the far north of the country, just below the Alps, in German-speaking Südtirol or Alto Adige. Today, we're traveling to Italy's deepest south, to the glistening white beaches of the Ionian Sea and up into the rugged wine hills of Cirò to meet our guest, Vincenzo Ippolito, on his historic family wine estate, Ippolito 1845, the oldest winery in Calabria. Thank you so much for joining us, Vincenzo. How are you today?
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for the invitation. I'm very good. Finally, our harvest is over. It was a very good harvest, and now we are very excited to taste the new vintages.
Was it a good harvest? Did things go according to how you had hoped, or was it a difficult year?
Well, no, it was quite good because the climate has been quite stable with not so much rain during the harvest. The summer was pretty hot, but in the end we picked up good fruit at quite good level of quantity. So we got both targets, which is decent quantity and high quality grapes.
Oh, excellent. That's great to hear. Now, your family has a long history of producing wines in Cirò, going back to 1845. That's even before the Italian nation had been created. So all of south of Italy was under the Spanish Bourbons at that time. It's amazing history. So can you tell us a little bit about your family and how you've been making wines over this long period?
Yes, for sure. Thanks for the question. So the company is called Ippolito 1845 because in an old building in our farm, we found this big stone on a wall with this date printed on, 1845 V.I. So Vincenzo Ippolito. That Vincenzo Ippolito, of course, is not me, is not even my grandfather. He was the grandfather of my grandfather. You know, here in the South, we have the tradition to call the first son with the same name of our father. So we still keep this name in our family. At that time, it was not really wine production in bottles. It was mainly production of grapes and wine in bulk, mainly sold in the surrounded area, in the local area, not outside the region. And the economy was not just wine, but it was mainly based on agriculture. So olive oil, grapes, wine, vegetables, fruit, citrus, and so on. Then we have to wait until the Second World War to have a real focus on viticulture. It was my grandfather Vincenzo. He was a quite brave and ambitious person with a study in agriculture. He had already a small car, a small Fiat, and he was very curious. So he went to the north of Italy, to regions like Tuscany and Piedmont, and he realized that the present and the future for the wine was to bottle the wine in a regular glass bottle, and this choice would have made a big difference in the wine trade. So he came back to its hometown, Cirò Marina, and then he had this great and revolutionary idea to bottle the wine in a 0.75 liter bottle, putting the label on the glass and printing its name on the bottle. So we start to sell our bottles with our brand. At the time, it was only Cantina Vincenzo Ippolito, just his name. Then, in the end of the 60s and the 70s, my father and my uncle decided to put the foundation date on the label, just to make the brand more recognizable and even stronger. After my grandfather, it's my father, my uncle, who still run the same business, but investing much more both in the vineyards and in the winery, but still with the same philosophy. The philosophy is giving value to our indigenous varieties, especially Gaglioppo and Greco Bianco, and try to promote these very unique grapes and these very unique wines, not just in Italy, but even all around the world. So in the 60s, in the end of the 60s, we started the first export to United States and Germany. I mean, it was easier in these countries because there was already a big presence of Calabrian people, immigrants from Calabria, who moved there, and they set up the first restaurants and food and wine distribution. So we went from regional sales to national and international sales. Then in the 2000, we have a new generational step in our family history. It's me together with my brother Gianluca and my cousin Paolo to manage the winery. And our philosophy, our idea was still to keep and to preserve the same values of our fathers, but trying to do things better and better. And the first target, the first mission was to rediscover other indigenous varieties quite unknown and neglected in the area, and trying to do good quality wines from not just the Gaglioppo and Greco Bianco, but also other Calabrian variety like Pecorello, Greco Nero, Calabrese, and so on. So right now the company is a medium-sized company. We produce around 600,000 bottles a year, and we sell our production in Italy and in about 30 countries around the world.
Wow, it's a fascinating story, starting from the beginning, those early days, but particularly from the post-war period, when your grandfather, who began to bottle the wine after the war, at a time when I guess most of the South was perhaps, as you say, selling wine only locally, or perhaps selling wine sfuso, selling wine in bulk to go up to the north or to other places, and to actually value what was being produced and to have that faith that your family could produce wines that would put Calabria on the wine map of Italy was very brave and courageous, and it must have been difficult. But what a wonderful thing to have done, because now, this is so important.
Yes.
Now, I want our listeners to really gain a vivid picture of where you are. I visited your wine estate with your father more than 30 years ago, I think it was, Vincenzo, so a long time ago. But I remember the beauty of the Ionian Sea, with the very rugged landscape rising from the sea, Cirò Marina, and then Cirò, the old town up the hill. Can you tell us a little bit about your vineyards on 3 different estates and the terroir and where we are, so that our listeners can gain a picture?
For sure, Mark. First of all, I'm very glad about what you said to me a few minutes ago during our introduction conversation, that you met my father a lot of time ago when he was still alive, and it was quite emotional for me. So it's a very nice thing, and the good thing is that not so much is changed in our territory since your last visit. I mean, we are very, very lucky to live in a very, very unique and beautiful place. It's the main towns are two, are Cirò Marina and Cirò, also called Cirò Superiore. They are two small towns on the Ionian coast. Ionian coast is the east side of Calabria, and precisely we are located on a tip called Punta Lice. Punta Lice is the easternmost point of Calabria. Actually, it's the starting point of Taranto Gulf. And it's not a coincidence that just here in Cirò Marina, we have a special condition for growing the grapes. The special conditions are given from its position because for two reasons mainly. On our shoulder, we have the beautiful mountains of Sila chain, from which we get the cold wind. And then in the front, on the east part, we have the beautiful Ionian Sea, from which we get the warm breeze. So Cirò area becomes the meeting point, the meeting place between cold and heat. So we have a very nice temperature excursion between day and night, and then it's the perfect condition for growing the grapes. When the Greek colonies came to our territory about 3,000 years ago, they found a great place with the presence of vines already. And the ground, the soil was very fertile, so that they called our area Enotria. Enotria in Greek means wine land. Then this word was extended to the whole country. So, I mean, our area is very unique for growing the grapes, and we have been growing grapes for very, very, very long time. And it's so nice that we still grow grapes in this area. And actually, it's the main economy, the main business in the area.
That's a really fascinating story, going back to the ancient Greeks who settled in Cremissa on Punta Alice. I love that on your website, one of your slogans is "Gli dei dell'Olimpo sono i nostri vecchi clienti." The gods of Olympus are our old clients. Tell us a little bit about this exciting link with the Olympic Games, the ancient games, indeed the present games.
Yes, right. So, well, it's a story between legend and the real story, of course. They say that in the past, when the players went to Athens for the Olympic game, and then after the games they came back to their land here in Calabria, they used to celebrate their victories drinking our Cremissa wine. Cremissa is the old name for Cirò, so they were drinking Cirò wine for thanking the gods. But I think it was just a way to have fun and celebrate their games. So it's a good story. It's a part of our storytelling, and we like it a lot. In the 1968, during the Olympic game in Mexico, our winery, together with other wineries in the area, sent for free quite a good amount of bottles of wine for all the Olympic players, just to remind this old tradition which link our territory to the Olympic Games. And yes, my father, together with my uncle in the 70s, they had this very, very good idea to put this claim on the brochure. The gods of Olympus are our old customers. So, I mean, it makes sense that we still put it on our website.
Yes, absolutely. I love that story. And of course, it is a reminder that Calabria in the ancient times was a very rich area with Sybaris and Crotone and famous ancient cities. And indeed, I think it was noted for the prowess of its Olympians, the famous wrestler Milo, who I think won 4 or 5 Olympic wrestling titles over 20 years, was, I guess we could imagine that Milo, this great wrestler, would have been drinking cremisa or Cirò wine.
Yes, it's a nice a nice idea to think of. I believe.
Now, Vincenzo, I know that your family have always believed in the native grape varieties, the varieties that have traditionally been grown for hundreds, and maybe these same varieties were around under the Greeks, Gaglioppo, Greco Bianco. Let's just talk a little bit about those two, and then maybe we'll also discuss a few other grapes. That's been very important to you, isn't it, to really express the territory through the local grape varieties?
Yes, for sure. So, as I said before, my grandfather Vincenzo was already producing his wines from Gaglioppo grapes, red Cirò Rosso, Riserva red Cirò, and then he also was producing rosé wine from Gaglioppo. Then my father and my uncle, they still were doing the same, though in the 80s and 90s we had the new trend in Italy of planting international varieties like Chardonnay, Merlot, Cabernet, and so on. My father and his brother, they thought there was no future for other varieties because the competition around the world would have been too high, and there would have not been any distinguishing character on our wines. So they resisted to the new trend, and they still worked on the indigenous varieties, which are mainly Gaglioppo and Greco Bianco. They are two unique, very beautiful, very difficult to work with grapes varieties, but working with these grapes make our job very challenging on the side, but very enthusiastic on the other side, because we have the great opportunity to offer the market very special and unique wines. What is unique in Gaglioppo? Gaglioppo is a red grapes, and Gaglioppo stands to Calabria like Nebbiolo to Piedmont or Sangiovese to Tuscany. You can find Gaglioppo in all Calabria, but the most of the Gaglioppo is cultivated in our area, in Cirò area. Why it's unique? Because first of all, the color. The color is very unique. It's never very dark, never very violet. It's a nice, brilliant ruby red color when it's young, and then with the aging, it goes to. It becomes a little bit lighter, going to garnet color. So apparently, it looks like a light wine, but it is not light at all because the sugar content inside the grapes is pretty high. So we get quite alcoholic wine. But the good thing is that the alcohol is pretty much well balanced by the high acidity. And then there are the tannins, which is the biggest particularity of our Gaglioppo. Gaglioppo is full of tannins, so that we have to wait for the right moment to pick up the grapes we need to do careful maceration, and then we can age the wine very well because the alcohol plus the tannins are great. So in the end, we get a wine with a very nice elegance, with a very charming complexity on the nose. The nose goes from fruity aromas like small berries with spicy aroma, and after years it becomes very intriguing because you get the licorice, you get the leather, the tobacco. The longer you wait, sometimes, and the better it is. Just 3 years ago, in 2019, we celebrated the 50 years of history of our DOC. Cirò DOC is one of the oldest in Italy. It was recognized in 1969. And during in Italy, we did a great event presenting 50 years of Gaglioppo wines, drinking even a bottle of my winery since 1969.
Wow, amazing. And yeah.
It's very nice. The other grapes is Greco Bianco. Greco Bianco has, its name says, has a Greek origin, and it's another grapes which is part of our territory, of our history and tradition. Usually, Greco Bianco is not naturally in balance. I mean, usually it gets a nice acidity, but the sugar content is never enough. So we have to wait longer to get good sugar content, but we risk to lose acidity. So what we do in our winery is to do two different harvests. We do a first harvest in the beginning of September, so we get some grapes with a higher acidity, though the sugar is not too high, but at least we get a nice fresh aroma and a nice freshness at the taste. And then after about 1 month, we do a second harvest, so we pick up grapes with more sugar, and we get a wine with more structure, more complexity. And after fermentation, we blend the two wines together in order to get a wine with a nice balance and nice equilibrium between acidity, freshness, and structure. Yes, so Gaglioppo and Greco Bianco are the main grapes, but Calabria has really a great patrimony heritage of indigenous varieties. Very great biodiversity. So in the last 15 years, our work was of rediscovering and research other old varieties. So we came out with new wines from other Calabrian varieties like Pecorello, Greco Nero, Calabrese, and it makes our offer very very interesting because we start with the Gaglioppo and Greco Bianco, which are the best known grapes, and then we go on with these other grapes varieties not well known, but they are finding their space in the markets because people are curious more and more to get new wines from unknown grapes.
I think you're right, and I think that is one of the most interesting things about Italian wines for those who are curious. You can encounter new wines from old grapes that one's never tasted before. I always say to people that when they're looking at a wine list, to not pick the wines they know, but to pick a name they've never heard of, because it wouldn't be there unless there was a reason for that wine to be made. All of your wines, Vincenzo, these are wines that are made to be enjoyed with food. Can you explain to us some of the main features of Calabrian food, and in particular foods that you enjoy in Cirò?
Yes, okay. Italy has a great offer of food, so in each region you can enjoy so many excellent things. So even in our region, we have something very unique and very good. And then it depends on where you are. You get different food because Calabria is wet from two different seas, Ionian Sea and Tyrrhenian Sea. So usually on the coast, the food is mainly based on fish, and then we have beautiful mountains, Sila and Aspromonte, and over there the cuisine is mainly made based on vegetables, mushrooms, and meat, of course, especially wild meat. So in my area, we are famous for a product. It's called sardella. It's the Calabrian caviar. It's made of baby sardines and anchovies with a lot of spicy red pepper and a little bit of fennel seeds. And it's yes, and olive oil, of course, extra virgin olive oil. And it's actually it's our amuse boucher for all the restaurants.
Wonderful. Is the fish salted? Is it a cured fish?
It's cured. I mean, it's a raw fish, and just the salt and the pepper cure the fish, which you can keep for a long time. So, I mean, of course the salt and the red pepper preserve the integrity and the quality of the fish, and we just spread the fish on crostini, on bruschetta, or you can even do a primo piatto like spaghetti with sardella. And as I told before, usually it's the entree, the welcome entree in all the restaurants in the area, and people are crazy for that. Then there is another dish which I love. Is it's called in Calabrese. It's called pipi e pruppi. It's pipi is peppers and octopus. They are fried on a fry pan, of course, with a lot of olive oils, and then it's between a second course and contorno side course. Then we have much more. Of course, we have all the Ionian fish like anchovies, sardinia, swordfish, tuna fish that we usually do with the pasta or just grill it on the grill, and then it's fantastic. And for such a food, we pair our white or even better our rosé from Gaglioppo because the rosé from Gaglioppo is a little structure, little tannins, which pair pretty well with the spicy food.
Sure. Now, spicy food, Calabria. You've been mentioning the red pepper, the peperoncino. Calabria has a reputation of having wonderful spicy food. I love it. I think there's even a Festa di Peperoncino, maybe even going on right now in Diamante. It's really an important feature, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very beautiful event. Even our company is there together with other in a stand with other Calabrian products, promoting our wines. I think it's edition number 25, 26. So they've been doing that for a long time, and that's something good because it's the right way to promote your excellence. Diamante then is a very, very, very nice town, and they do this special event in the end of September, beginning of October, just to extend the summer season. Yes, there are. I mean, there are some Calabrian products which are famous all over the world. If you think about the nduja, people call it nduja sometimes. You can find these ingredients in so many pizzeria right now. There is a pizza with nduja made in so many places around the world, or just pasta with nduja. Even restaurants in England, the United States, and even other countries, they use our products to make some great dishes.
So in Duya, this is this spreadable salami with plenty of peperoncino that you can sort of spread with a knife. It's so rich. I love it.
Originally from the Tyrrhenian side, from Tropea area. And what is special is that it's a very poor food. It's what is left from the pork meat. In the past they didn't want to leave anything, so they were using all the stuff. So what was left from the good meat was mixed with a lot of red pepper, just to make a kind of sauce, and put it in a salami way. So nduja is quite spreadable, and you can just eat nduja as itself on the bread, or it's great to put it in a sauce and make some tomato sauce for your pasta or whatever you want. Now the chef have a great fantasy, and they can use nduja for multiple dishes.
Sure, sure. Now, speaking of chefs, I would like our listeners for you to share with our listeners perhaps a couple of restaurant recommendations. Be something for very traditional cucina tipica, and possibly a restaurant that serves these wonderful local ingredients in a slightly more modern way.
Yeah, in my area, there are many restaurants. I mean, a great effort to do things better and better, and I mean, I'm very glad because I think our restaurants grew a lot in the last 10 years. We have okay, talking about kind of gourmet way of cooking. I would recommend three restaurants, which are the restaurants of my heart. One is Conte di Melissa in Torre Melissa. It's a very nice place on a little hill from which you can see the moon, the sea, and a wonderful old Saracen tower. Then the other two restaurants are on our lungomare in the town of Cirò Marina. One is Acquarama, where the chef is a friend of mine, Andrea, and the other restaurant is White Restaurant, is managed from another good friend from Pierluigi, where you can find the best raw fish in the area. Talking about very typical cuisine, I would recommend to get some good friends in Cirò and go to eat to their house where the mom cooks, because it's the best way to get I would invite you to my place where my mom is from Cirò, from the old town. She's a great cook. But another recommendation could be L'Aquila d'Oro. It's a restaurant in the old town of Cirò, where they really do the older recipe of Cirò and Cirò Marina food.
Okay, great. Well, Vincenzo, you've given us a great overview of a very special place, a far off place. I think, for many of us in our minds, we think of Cirò way down on the Ionian Sea is, quite a long way from our imagined views of Italy, but it's a beautiful area. Your wines are fabulous, and I'm sure that they're best enjoyed with the foods of the area. So I hope that our talk today will encourage our listeners to travel to Cirò to find you, and if not, then to enjoy visiting you every time they encounter your wines, wherever they are. So thank you very much for being my guest today. It's been a real pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to meeting you in person sometime soon.
Thanks a lot for the invitation and for the nice conversation. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe right here or wherever you get your pods. Likewise, you can visit us at ItalianWinePodcast.com. Until next time, chin chin.
guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.